Hey everybody, and welcome to Geeksvana. Thank you very much for coming along and joining me. I really need to key up the stop singing Geeksvana. There you go. Just after the timer finishes, actually, doesn't she? So I need to sort of match those two together a bit more. So I'll make sure I fix that for our main live show, which is the usual one, Thursday night at 9 p.m. Which we've got some exciting stuff coming up on that this week. Actually, the link will be released very, very soon. My release schedule is completely off the charts, off the wall, thrown in the bin this week with the breaking news that we brought you regarding the drone confrontation with police the other day, and now this leakish. Then the videos I thought I'd be releasing this week will actually be coming next week, so that's all fun and games, but at least I've got some in the background there. And Andy Key's giving me a very quick reminder for the microphone. Thank you. So I'm programmed now to see that members emoji out of my periphery, so that I know if something's going on with the audio, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you very much for everyone that's come along and joined us in the live chat today for this breaking news live stream. We have ourselves a piece of video which appears to show the DJI Mini 3 in action, flying, but also being spun around on one of those little turntables, which I think we had with the Mini 2 actually, just before that happened. This isn't anything sort of official from DJI or anything else like that. This is clearly someone that has it to test it. My thoughts are, as I will come back onto from my notes in a little bit, that with things like Chipageddon happening, that we're not actually we're no longer within the same release path that was intended for 2021. So perhaps will we see the DJI Mini 3 or whatever it's going to be called before the end of the year? I think DJI would like us to, but whether that actually happens or not will be very, very interesting. Now, of course, since the good old Mini 1, the poor little Mini 1, it's still a good drone, you know, but since this little drone came along with the weird thing sticking out the back of it, we of course have had in November 2020 we had the Mini 2, which gave us the wonders of OcuSync. And I think one of the things that most people are looking for is from the Mini 3, or certainly one of the things that I think people would like, is things like follow me modes and that type of thing. And to have that, of course, we need to have obstacle avoidance. So shall I stop chatting about it and actually bring the video up? So here we have a piece of video that we have gained this morning. As you can see, there's been a few different people claiming rights of it over the top there, but this is a leaked video. And this purports to be the Mini 3. Now, I have to say, if this isn't the Mini 3, if this is a fake, then it's a pretty decent job of it, I have to say, for someone to have gone to this kind of trouble. It looks to me to be a genuine drone, but again, you know, I have to bow to my audience's knowledge, frankly. Droney Bear, hi, good to see you. Eric Watt, good to see you as well. Drone Flyer, hi, welcome everybody in the chat. Fish Diaries, thank you very much everyone for joining us. And I like this one a little bit more than the footage we often get of, or footage or pictures we often get on these pre-launches, because photos to me are so much easier to fake. They're so much easier to change. But with this one, we do at least have moving video, even if it is moving around on a turntable. And then, of course, we have the drone actually on a pad and then actually flying as well. So, which is very interesting. But again, is this legitimate? Is this the real thing? Looking at the front and the body itself, obviously this isn't the best quality of video as you can expect, but it gives the impression that, to me, it looks correct. I mean, it actually flies. It seems to be the same. There is a cut there, which is interesting. There's a cut right there in the video, which shows that that, you know, perhaps they might have put a different drone down. You never know, do you, really, frankly? So let me know in the chat with fake or real, whether or not you think initially from this very blurry shots, whether or not you think that this could be a real drone. One thing I have done actually, which I'll just bring up now, is I have the Mini 2 here, and then obviously the new, in inverted commas, Mini drone on the right hand side here, and I wanted to compare it from the point of view from the official video from DJI and compare the two so that we can have a quick look. Now, In terms of the back of the drone, obviously it does look quite different. Let me bring it up into this part here and pause her there. So there you can see the two. Looks more real than the MD4, yeah. There you can see the two together. Now, again, everything hasn't, there isn't really much of a change. You can see that the body at the bottom is now thicker. This would be a lot of trouble to go to for someone who wanted to fake this footage. I'm not saying somebody wouldn't do that, of course. But it does look interesting from the point of view that obviously you therefore have the two dots at the back, which I would presume would be the obstacle avoidance. Now, if we bring it round to the front and pause her there just before she starts to grey out, and bring the other video around to show the front. Famous last words. Famous last words. Being very skillfully flown there by that gentleman. Now you have these two ports at the front. On the left-hand video I'm looking at here, the two ports at the front, which were obviously for air intake. Now that would suggest that the story we got initially when I think it was Billy Carl who tweeted it out, that he was informed that the front sensor, the front light, was actually intended to be an obstacle avoidance sensor, and because it wasn't ready in time, they said actually we'll leave that. Now the interesting thing here is that they've now gone to a slit at the top here, with whatever this model is here. As you can see, you've got the slit at the top, which I think is now the air intake. So where the intakes used to be will now get obstacle avoidance. Yeah, indeed, Alexis, it's a real drone, but is it the DJI Mini3? Exactly. No side sensors, deal breaker. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see side sensors, because again, I think they're going to have to try and keep this one under 250 grams. But so it'll be interesting to see. Let's Fly the Drone says DJI just released the SE. There is no way DJI planned two drones in at one time. I think the Mini 3 will release next year. Yeah, I know what you mean. However, the SE is really a sub-market drone intended to mop up on sales. And I think in actual fact, let me pop back to here very quickly. In actual fact, I think the SE is using up all the parts and that type of thing, and getting around the Chipageddon issue, which for those of you who don't know, there's a very big shortage on chips at the moment throughout the technology sector, car manufacturing, everything, frankly. And what we're now experiencing is we're seeing manufacturers coming up with different models and trying to get around that. For me, the SE is that one, it's capitalizing on that lower end market where people want a starter drone for a little bit less money, perhaps to do with the Hubsons and those type of manufacturers of the world looking to release small drones as well. But also it's using up the old Mini 1 internals with the Mini 2 externals, and it's only got one frequency band. So I would say that there's a different chipset there from that point of view. So again, going back to these two videos and having a look, yeah, I mean, obstacle avoidance would be obviously extremely popular. I think that we would see a lot of the Mini 2 audience losing their beep over this, frankly, because it will have that. That is one of the things, to have the follow me modes and that type of thing is certainly one of the things that most people would like. Yes, and as Alexis correctly identifies, the Mini SE isn't released in all countries yet, although that's interesting in itself, of course, because the Mini SE is now available in some of the sub markets, so in Asia and in Russia, India, etc. It isn't yet ready. It isn't yet released in the States, and there is PR out there from DJI stating that it isn't intended for the States. However, we have all seen the Walmart style listing, which showed the Mini SE, obviously that is coming to their shelves. So it's an interesting one to see. So again, we can see here we've got different ports on the side, a little bit more taken out of the side as well, from the point of view of obviously lightening it. Interestingly, of course, the Mini 2 was, I think it was on most people's, it was something like between 237 and 241 grams when people actually weighed it. So there is some space for these, but not an awful lot. And yes, as Let's Fly Drone says, the frame is the same, and DJI want the drone to keep under 240 grams. And if DJI added sensors, it will be over 249. Well, the Mini 2 actually, as I was just saying, the Mini 2 didn't actually weigh and doesn't actually weigh 249 grams if you put it on a scale. Most people's models are between 237 and 241. So yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one to see whether or not. Let me just bring it back up here so we can bring it full screen for you again. Although, as I say, the resolution isn't the best, unfortunately, which is always the way with these leak videos, isn't it? So again, at the back here, you can see a slightly different shape to the bottom. Particularly, there's obviously a little button there, or a little latch for the battery port, for the battery door, which is interesting. And you appear to have, it looks like USB-C, and then obviously the smart card, the SD card reader at the back there, which is interesting. Along the side, not much difference. Obviously, you've got the two new side ports there. And then at the front, you have the what appear to be obstacle avoidance sensors, but they're up inside there. We'll see. And obviously the new ventilation port at the top. So it is changing a little bit as well. So in terms of whether this will actually be a Mini 3, or will they go along the same route as the DJI Air 2 and have a DJI Air 2S, I'm not sure. The Air 2S added some significant changes to the camera. It has arguably better props, which obviously produce less noise. But this, to me, feels like it possibly would be a 3 rather than an S iteration, from the point of view that adding obstacle avoidance really does move it on quite significantly. Although, of course, it is still the same drone underneath all of that, frankly. So yeah, so I'm wondering whether or not it will be actually called the 3 or the 2S, but it'll be strange. And Elsmeghead, why would people always film these clips with a potato? Haven't they heard of HD? Yeah, I think the problem there is that this is something like the fifth generation of this video, which has been downloaded and reposted and downloaded and reposted, and all of the different social media buttons that it's sent out on are actually degrading the footage, frankly. Now, interestingly, we have seen similar pictures to this before, which we were sent. There were static pictures. One of the things that put me off it at that time was actually the arm. And let me see if I can just try and ninja skill the pause button. Ninja. But I don't know if you can see, but it looks like a long word on the arm. And the photos that were sent to me actually said Mavic on this left arm, which to me, I was like, okay, for whatever reason, whatever convoluted, whatever, epic work people have decided to do to fake this, it's fake, because there's no way they're going to go back to the Mavic name and say, oh, now it's the Mavic Mini 3. So that's an interesting one. I don't see it clearly enough on here to see whether or not it says what it actually says on the sidearm there, to be frank. So that's an interesting one as well. Daniel Quintrell, this would seem like a bigger jump in tech than from the Mini to the Mini 2. Yeah, possibly. I think it will have something that people want, which again the Mini 2 did have. It has OcuSync over the Mini 1. So yeah, it is a decent jump in tech, certainly. I think it probably has to happen if people like Hubsan are talking about bringing out their Mini with obstacle avoidance. Obviously, we don't know whether that drone even works yet or not, or how good it is. But with other drones on the market in a similar price range with obstacle avoidance, then they're going to have to do something like that themselves. Now, DJI are becoming a little bit like Apple, where they're starting to show their very slow iterations and not really innovating as much in terms of on their releases. I'm sure behind the scenes there's some amazing innovation happening. But now we've obviously seen this leaked video. Again, it shows that this will be moved on a little bit from the last one, frankly. Yes, absolutely, Daniel. Yes, he means justifying the name Mini 3 rather than 2S. And I agree with you from that point of view. I think there is actually a model jump here rather than just an iteration, because the obstacle avoidance is going to be very, very popular. They do actually hold it up, but yeah, we can't get anything clearer there. I'm just a little bit obsessed about what it says on the arm. it doesn't look long enough to say Mavic Mini 3 actually. So I think this again, as I say, I have seen similar shots of shots of a similar looking drone, and very, very similar in fact, and the arm of that said Mavic, which again could have just been the fact that it was a test bed, who knows, but it didn't give me the warm fuzzies, frankly. Alexis, thanks a lot for popping in. We'll see you next time. We'll see you on TNL on the live chat as well. Sensor 10 grams, cables 3 extra grams, board in the drone 4 to 6 grams. Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody can find a way to get those things in there, it'll be DJI. So perhaps we will find that these drones won't necessarily be able to be flown with a lot of the accessories that some of us fly on there, because we do have the extra weight to play with, as it were, with the Mini 3. Let me just bring these up on the side by side again with the DJI. Let me just bring that forward to where the drone actually starts to appear. So yeah, so you know, this would be a very, very complex hoax, a very, very complex fake, but you know, I wouldn't put that past anybody, frankly. There are some very skilled and talented people out there. We could even be seeing, you know, an earlier grade model, an earlier grade test model, etc. I have no way of verifying when this footage was taken, by whom, or anything like that, frankly. So there we go. So I'm just going to let this video play again once more on the full screen over here. So let me know in the chat if you are currently a Mini 2 owner, and a Mini 3 or Mini 2S came out and it actually had obstacle avoidance, and that was pretty much it. Perhaps a slightly enhanced camera, perhaps slightly better propellers, that type of thing. Would that be enough for you to want to reach out into your wallets and buy this new drone? I'd be really interested to know. So hit 1 if you would buy this, and hit 2 if you would stick with your existing DJI Mini. Also, people watching the replay, let me know in the comments below as well what your thoughts are, and whether or not you would want to consider upgrading. I can see one nope already from our senior moderator at Masterclass, but I think that's the side sensors that's letting that down. I mean, for me personally, I don't really fly with the sensors. So it isn't something that I would necessarily be that concerned about. I'd be interested from the point of view of it, the fact that it would then bring in things like tracking and that type of thing. Droney Bear says, 1, I don't have a sub 250 yet, so that would be a good start. It would be a very good start, sir. Cumbrian Bod, hi, good to see you, says 1. Drone Fires 1 as well. Denny Smith is there with the 1 as well. Stuart Hart, Let's Fly Drone, and El Smeghead firmly in there with a 2. And Daniel Quintrell says, follow me would be great. And as Fish Diary says, it does depend on price too. Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, there is a limit that these, I suppose it's kind of catch-22 from the point of view that there is a limit that they can keep charging for these drones. But if we still have very, very flexible, shall we say, drone rules here in the UK, particularly for the sub 250, then I think the sub 250 market is going to grow and grow, and going to become more and more complex. Which is, you know, exciting to see innovation coming into such small drones. Smeghead says he flies senseless. Yes, I know that. He means senseless, but I think senseless too. PD Tech, personally, I'm still happy with my original Mavic Mini. It does everything I need a drone to do already. And that's a really good point. Let me just bring the camera back, and that's a really good point, PD Tech, as well. And that is something actually I'm just about finished the B-roll for my Mini 2 long-term review. And this is obviously the Mavic Mini 1, or the Mavic Mini, and it is still an excellent drone. It does exactly what you want it to do, frankly. It is more than competent. But yes, it's 2.7K, but you know, for most of us that actually shoot and upload in 1080p, it is a nice drone. I have to say that the Mini 2 is fantastic from the point of view of OcuSync, so it gives that extra piece of reliability from that point of view. Although I don't really remember the Mini ever letting me down particularly. I certainly got interference when I was in congested areas and that type of thing, but yes. And Thomas Ariels, hi, good to see you, sir. Hope everything is well over that part of the water over on the Emerald Isle. And Eric Watt, no, still wait on the C-Class to come. No point in wasting your money. Well, obviously the advantage with the sub 250s, Eric, is of course these currently have an indefinite allowance from the UK CAA to be flown in the Class 0 airspace. So you're able to fly over people and fly in congested areas with zero separation to people, as long as it's safe, harking back to our video earlier in the week. And yes, so you're actually able to fly these indefinitely, is the current policy of the CAA. Hopefully we don't get too many people flying them recklessly and getting that taken away from us. Once this does get C marking, it'll be interesting to see which number they actually end up popping on there. And Daniel Quintrell says, depends on how much we can sell our Mini 2s for. When I got wind of the Mini 2, I sold my Mini 1. Then it only cost an extra 50 to get the Mini 2. Very good. If we could do the same, I would. And yeah, and absolutely. And that's one thing. Release date is an interesting one. I would expect if this was a normal world at the moment, I would expect this to come before Christmas. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen or not yet from the point of view of the Chipageddon situation and other situations that the pandemic have put into place to delay releases and that type of thing. So I wouldn't, I mean, I never recommend going out and selling your drones because of another drone that might come out or is going to come out and that type of thing. But I'm not sure from the point of view that whether or not it's worth it yet. There's no FCC filings, that type of thing. So, and of course, once we get more information on that, we will let you know. If you're new here watching the stream, either in the live chat, hello, hi, and if you've been sent here watching the replay, hello as well. Please do remember to hit that subscribe button. And if everybody in the live chat, there's a good group of you here today. Thank you very much for joining me. If you could all pop along and hit that like button, it'll really help me. It really helps me from the point of view of the algorithm, and the algorithm says, oh, people like this video, and then of course send it out to a much wider audience, which would be wonderful. We are chasing the 10,000 subscriber mark at the moment, and I would like to get there fairly soon. Matthew Harris, how much better than the DJI Spark? Well, that's an interesting one actually, Matthew, because the DJI Spark is something which is still very, very popular. It still has a very firm following. It's a different drone, frankly. It's a different type of drone. I would say it's better from the point of view, of course, that even the Mini 1 has the 2.7K, which I think the Spark is still a 1080p drone. The Mini 2 is full 4K. And then if this is the Mini 3 that we've been looking at today, then it looks like it will probably have obstacle avoidance sensors. Certainly, I would expect any kind of Mini 3 that came out to have obstacle avoidance sensors. So yeah. So is it better? I'm not sure, because of the way the drone releases are coming as well, and because there's so many models, the Mini and the Air 2S and the Pro 2 and Inspires and everything else above that, and all the different manufacturers. I'm not sure best is necessarily the word anymore, or better than. I think it's trying to find the drone that suits what you need and what you want it to do. For me, having a drone, especially with the Mini 2, that can fold down to such a tiny size, and then with the prop guard on, can literally be thrown in my bag, and with a chunkier controller than the Mini 1, but still a decent size controller. So I don't have to have a separate case for it, etc. I can just throw these in my backpack and take them along with me, just in case I want to fly to capture any shots. So I'm not always going out specifically to actually capture drone footage, which is good fun. Okay, and PD Tech says OcuSync 2.0 only benefits me if I fly in built-up areas. I fly on the sticks, so range is no problem. Exactly, absolutely. If you are an A3 far from people flyer here in the UK, then the Mini 1 is a fantastic little drone and is incredibly good value. And I would even say look at the Mini SE when it does come out as well. Hi, Bryant Ariels and Jim Beauchamp. Good to see you both. Good to see the Canadians representing. I'm looking forward to Jim Beauchamp's Beauchamp moment. Is it called? I can't remember the name of the segment now on TNL this week. And let's see what everybody else has been saying here. And Elsmaker says, as Elsmaker says, yes, currently indefinitely. CA speak for sure. Yeah, indeed. And PD Tech again says the Mini 2 doesn't offer me enough of an upgrade to consider buying it. I'll wait for the Mini 5 GT Pro, probably coming next year before Christmas. Yeah, absolutely. I think that'll be hot on the heels of the Phantom 12 for sure. Always a good one. And Andy Keys gets joke of the stream as well for his. He's already got a Mini 3 because he's got a Mini 1 and a Mini 2, and you add them together. Hey, I'm I'm an old man. I laugh at bad jokes. So I think past the age of 40, you're actually supposed to laugh at dad jokes. So there we go. So yes, so thank you everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Let's have one more look at this clip here, which, as I say, is it's a rumor. It's not even necessarily a leak because there's nothing to show that it's actually from DJI themselves. Thomas Ariel, someone mentioned the Phantom 12. Yes, the Phantom 15 actually. So we've got some changes to the body there. Again, it still looks so awkward and toy-like to me, but I've been saying that since the Mavic Mini 1's first leaked photographs. I wasn't entirely sure on that one, to be frank. Rusty Barnett, hi Andy, good to see you. As someone who was tempted by the Mini 2 after having the Mini 1, can't say this tempts me. Obstacle avoidance isn't enough of an upgrade. I agree with you from that point of view, but I'm wondering if all of the whistles and bells that it could actually come with might actually be the thing which pushes a lot of people over the edge. Also, call me shallow, but it looks a bit ugly to me. Oh, I know what you mean. Once you start focusing on, it's kind of like a Formula One car, isn't it? That once you start focusing on the speed and the battery life and the obstacle avoidance and that type of thing, it tends to no longer be a form factor focused kind of thing. But yeah. But anyway, time will tell. Is this the DJI Mini 3, Mini 2S, whatever you want to call it? Let me know in the comments below for everyone watching the replay whether you think this could be that drone. Again, I'm live tomorrow evening, 9 p.m. in the UK, which is 4 p.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow night, we're going to be joined by a couple of guests. We're going to have Simon Ritterband from Moonrock Insurance joining us for the launch of their new hobby drone insurance. And I'm going to be getting a quote live on air. So that's going to be very interesting, and catching up with him as well. And then we're going to be joined by Tamara Gabriel, who is going to be giving us all a bit of a lesson in how to produce more effective, shorter videos, mixing up our drone and ground footage, and also giving us a challenge for next time that she comes on to Geeksvana as well, which is going to be very exciting. So join myself, Stephen from the Fly Guy Guys, who is my the Flyby Guys, who is my co-host, and we'll see you then tomorrow 9 p.m. UK time. Thanks guys, really appreciate you coming in. Bye. Yeah.